Kiss. Kiss. 106.5.
Here he is, Dr. Oz, in the studio this morning. Hello, sir.
Well, good morning to you. How are you?
Very good.
You are here for New Idea magazine. They've brought you out, and we're going to help out Burping Man in just a second because, you know, he's shared his story. Can't stop burping all the time.
And you watched the YouTube video of him, poor thing.
I did. I feel very badly for him. I heard your conversation. You actually asked a bunch of, I don't know, folks, man, I think they're appropriate questions, but the one about coming out from below is a very appropriate question. So,
Really, yeah, because you want to know if it's shooting out both ends.
yeah, it makes a difference. You're very, very good doctor's instinct.
Thank
There you
I
go.
wouldn't have
I
expected
thought it was a dumb question, but there you go.
because it's gas.
It's gas, right?
That's
Yeah.
what I thought, but maybe
Yeah.
this guy's got a different thing.
You're here for New Idea magazine. What you got a little quiz there in the
I
magazine?
got a little quiz in this month's magazine. So the whole thing is about getting real about your health. This happens to be International Men's Health Week.
All
Yep.
right.
So it's a good opportunity to wake folks up. So this is one, since you guys are morning people, I gather, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, how many hours from when you wake up till you have your breakfast?
Probably 2 hours.
Oh, not me.
What's your? What?
Oh,
yeah, you're
mine-
2.
No.
What are you?
Well, this morning I ate toast, but normally I wouldn't eat till about 11 in the morning.
Oh.
But then have a look at what you're dealing
Exactly
with.
right.
A bit of a fatty.
You're pre-op. Just getting
Totally.
ready.
Why do you ask? Why do you ask?
So it's one of the quiz questions. I have 25 questions, and they're all questions that if you know the answer to, by the fact that you know the answer, you'll start doing things differently. Most folks who eat within 2 hours waking up are thinner.
Really?
Assuming you're not having a donut. You're having real
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
Right?
Right, yeah.
Because it changes the way your metabolism functions. So you get off on the right track, as your mom might say. But medically speaking, once you don't have those hormones surging at the wrong time, you
Yep.
start doing things the right way. One other issue, because you guys have always, the morning show jocks always have an issue with sleep. Do you
Yeah.
sleep in on weekends? You sleep later?
No, I don't.
no, not really.
I'm so proud of you. That's so good.
Is it good, is it?
Yeah, you don't want to sleep in on weekends because it makes you shift your circadian rhythm.
Right.
Yeah, instead, what you want to do is see bright sunlight when you get up in the morning. It locks in your circadian rhythm. Then when you go back to work on Monday, it's not like you're jet lagged.
Oh,
Right,
You
okay.
sleep
Yeah, I
3
know.
hours later on
So
Saturday
we
and Sunday.
shouldn't be sleeping in on weekends.
No.
I've got sleep apnea as well,
Do you do?
and huge high blood pressure.
Yeah,
You know,
here's
they're
a
rel- I'm
basket case over here.
I'm walking death on legs.
I'm glad I came to work today.
Yeah.
I'm bad. I'm
You
in a
know,
bad
they're
way.
related a little bit. Sleep apnea is one of the biggest causes we find of everything, ranging from high blood pressure, even cancer rates. How long have you had the sleep apnea for?
Well, I've been on a machine for like about maybe a couple of months.
Yeah.
Does it work for you?
Yeah, it does. But I had the flu last week, so I couldn't use the machine, and I was a disaster.
Yeah, and then the other thing about sleep apnea is it makes it impossible to lose weight because your brain craves 4 things. It
Oh my
craves,
God, so it's not even my fault.
not even your fault. Thank goodness.
Just the answer he was
came
looking
here to deliver
for.
that message.
Carl's favourite thing to say is, "It's not even my fault."
Oh,
it's kind of
Kyle.
like his
Oh,
speeding ticket the other day.
But it's true. You know, the brain craves 4 things. The brain
Yeah.
craves sex,
Yeah.
sleep,
Yeah.
food, and water. So I'll leave the sex to you guys.
Yeah.
I got that handled.
You got the handle.
Yeah.
If you don't sleep enough, you have to therefore eat food, and especially carbohydrates.
Right.
Really?
So people who don't get enough sleep always crave foods, and if you have sleep apnea, it's like a series of rear-end collisions all night long. Where you're like,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Suffocating and then breathing.
Yeah.
And so that ends up messing up completely your brain's ability to desire the right kinds of foods.
So this guy Ron, this
Hang
is an
on.
interesting
Oh,
case.
so that's the end of me then.
Sorry, you need less help than what
the end
poor
of me.
Ron does. Ron's been living with this burping constantly for 2 years. Now he joins us again on the phone. Hey Ron, Dr. Oz is here. He wants to help you out, and he's got a few questions.
Hey, Ron, I'm feeling badly for you, man. So, real quickly, take me back to the beginning. The very first time you noticed this, where were you and what happened? I guess. Ron, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
where were you, Ron, and when did it first happen?
It's been so long, it's hard to tell. Before I had my surgery in 2005, there's some bad information out there. I did not wake up from surgery with this.
Right.
And that surgery
I had a partial colonectomy back in 2005. And the belching was one of the symptoms. And what happened was I stopped passing stool and was throwing up undigested food.
Right. So they took out.
barium enema with a fluoroscope and found that I had a blocked colon. And they told me I needed emergency surgery.
So, Ron,
So I had the surgery.
Ron, let me take you back even
And-
before the surgery, though. So you were burping before the surgery started.
Yeah, a little bit more than normal.
But it got to the extreme level that it is now after the operation. Is that correct?
It didn't start, the belching didn't start back up until 2012.
Got it. All right, a couple quick
I had
things.
the surgery in 2005.
Have you ever had gallstones?
No.
Because I'm just throwing these things out. These are things that can cause burping a little bit. Have you ever had a hernia that you know of?
Oh, God, yes. 3 of them.
You've had 3 hernias. Because sometimes you can get hernias in that swallowing tube, and they can lead to some burping as well. And the other thing I just point out for a lot of folks, Ron, it may not be your issue, but a lot of people get a lot of burping if they have irritable bowel. And probiotics, which are found in yogurt and kefir, these are the bacteria in our gut that can be helpful. And I don't know if you've tried that at all.
Well, Dr. Oz, it's not. It's more like in my throat.
Well, that's the most common cause of what you're. Sorry, that's the most common cause of what you're having. A lot of times you get nerve irritation to the throat area, and so the air goes in there. It doesn't actually come from your stomach. It's not a true burp. It's a pushing out of air like a musical instrument would push out air from the throat, and it's often a subconscious process. If you think about it, swallowing is automatic. You don't even think about swallowing, Ron. So if that swallowing goes the opposite, instead of swallowing stuff down, you begin pushing air out. Reflexively, without even thinking about it, it'll happen as commonly as you're experiencing it.
Okay.
It sounds like it's just a nightmare, this thing.
I know.
Yeah, I know this sounds like a crazy person to refer you to, but have you ever seen a speech therapist? Because that's who actually works with that crazy phonation, making sounds that we usually use to speak, but in your case is coming out like a burp.
No, I've never talked with a speech therapist.
Well, if you're interested, obviously my show airs here in Australia, but we tape it in America. Maybe I could have you come visit with me there. I've never booked a guest from Australia before. But this is a weird way of doing it, Ron. But if you're willing to come visit me in New York City, maybe we can talk about this, and I can do some of the tests I need to do. I want to put a little tube down your throat and measure the pressures in different parts of your swallowing tube. That'll give me a lot of clues about why this is happening to you.
Well, I did something stupid, and I'd rather talk to you off air about it.
Oh, shit, that's exactly what we want to hear.
What did you do, Ron?
It has to do with another television show.
Oh, you've gone and signed yourself up for friggin' Dr. Phil.
What did you... Oh, Ron, okay.
Oh,
we got Dr...
I wasn't thinking correctly.
Oh, don't worry, we'll get you out of that contract. We got great lawyers here.
Yeah.
Why do the dodgy show when you got Dr. Oz there once again? We'll hook you guys up off the air and see what happens.
Yeah, I think Dr. Oz can definitely help you here, Ron, because it sounds like, as Carl said, a nightmare that you're living with daily here. So we'll take care of that off air, okay?
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Poor Ron can only get one word out in between burps.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Gee, you would have seen some weird stuff over the years, though, right?
Do you almost think this is possibly like a Tourette's type syndrome where it's...
I think so. I think he's got neurologic issues happening in the throat area. And as you mentioned, Tourette's is a pretty good example. It's not the same identically, but a lot of folks benefit from speech therapy only because they can train their body to make the noises it needs to make, not the noises he's making, which are paralyzing his ability to live.
Yeah, right.
Also, I know these sound like weird things to throw at a problem that seems so severe, but some of the behavioral therapy, the meditation and stuff, it's hugely valuable because it takes the whole autopilot of the body. So we talk about stress, for example. And part of the reason I'm here is, we did this big survey looking at what's going on in Australian health.
Yep.
A third of the people feel more stressed than last year. And it's not about getting rid of stress, it's about coping with it. So Ron is creating stress in his life or responding to stress in his life with these burps. So it's not in his head. It's actually, like most of us, we don't get high blood pressure in your case, because you're, thinking about it or wanting to get it.
Yep.
Subconsciously, your autopilot is saying, things aren't right here. I got to deal with it. And I'm going to react out by getting high blood pressure. So if you don't deal with that, at the subconscious level, you can't just browbeat you and say, don't do this, don't do that. It's not about that.
See, Jackie?
Right, okay, taking
All
notes.
she ever does is just say, it's your own fault being a fat, lazy slob.
Can I share with you one insight might be valuable for folks? I've learned this from years of working with Oprah. And I've done almost 1,000 of my own shows now. And I see it all the time. People do not change based on what they know. They change based on how they feel.
Yeah.
So if you get them to feel differently about themselves, whether it's wrong with his burping or with your sleep apnea or your blood pressure, whatever it might be, then all of a sudden it's a different way of having a conversation. It's true for any addiction behavior across the board. So people make decisions based on their emotions, and then they'll justify it based on facts.
That's true.
But it's not worth arguing the facts. That's not what the problem is. And with all the women out there who want to get their men to be healthier because it's International Health Week for men, forget about it. It's called nagging unless you deal with the underlying emotional reason. And if you have those hooks in them with the emotion, then all of a sudden everything becomes easier.
Wow. So
don't nag is what you're saying.
women, stop nagging. Well, don't miss Dr. Oz's special report, Get Real About Your Health, this week and next week in New Idea. It's an interesting read. Make sure you check it out.
Enjoy your time here. You'll see some whack jobs in this country, I'll tell you.
Kiss 1065.